So the book I read is titled Parenting Out of Control, Anxious Parents in Uncertain Times by Margaret Nelson. The 10 key terms I took from the textbook are social class, middle class, working class, life chances, upper class families, labor force, service sector, role overload, spillover, and responsive workplace. So within the book explores how parents are seemingly hovering over their children more than ever before. I was immediately compelled to this title due to my mom being one of these types of parents, and I was very interested in learning the reasoning and analysis behind this parenting style. No Playpen is the title of Nelson's book's introduction. So Nelson points out that elite parents worry about the safety of their children constantly. She notes that these elite parents tend to hover over and monitor their children very closely. Nelson mentioned an interaction she had with a colleague who works in a career counseling center for a university. Her colleague said how students who graduate are very mature and still have to consult with their parents about everything. She also mentioned how parents call every day questioning what exactly she's doing for their child. I actually work at SA over in the campus center, and as many of you guys know, we sell bus tickets there. So I would say daily, maybe 1 to 2 parents will call me and ask, oh, how much are bus tickets? Can my daughter come buy them? Can I just do it for her? And I'm on the other side thinking, like, oh, your child is probably 18 to like 21 years old. Why can't they come into the office? Chances are they're on the podium. So Wikipedia actually defines this type of parent as a helicopter parent. In other words, a mother or father who hovers over a student of any age. While reading this, truthfully, I was chuckling a little bit because this is my mom exactly. She wouldn't be the type of parent to call SA. Not saying that I'm completely dependent on her, but if I'm at a doctor's office or something and I need a shot and I don't call her prior, she will not be happy. Moreover, recent studies show that children away from college have a lot of contact with their parents. The National Survey of Student Engagement, which obtains on an annual basis information from hundreds of four-year colleges and universities nationwide, reported data from 2007 shows that 86% of first-year students have frequent contact with their mothers, and 71% of first-year students have frequent contact with their fathers. A second study reports that college-age children communicate on average with their parents over 10 times a week through various forms of communication, whether it be email, text, calling, letters. I found this last statistic to be a little underestimated, at least for myself. I decided to check how many times I spoke to my mom yesterday. We exchanged 10 texts, 4 calls, and 6 emails, so seems like a lot, but I was like, oh, mom, blah, 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 this happened, and I don't know, just kind of how we've always been. Likewise, the study suggested that both parents and children initiate communication equally, which I also agree with. Next, Nelson looked at parenting styles in terms of social, cultural, and technological changes. She compares the professional middle-class parents with those from the middle and working class. To state it simply, class matters for success. Before getting into the differences between classes, Nelson stressed this next point that I'm about to say. Every single parent with whom her research assistants or her spoke to expressed concern about his or her child's educational future, and every single parent expressed hope that his or her child would go on to some form of education higher than high school. However, social class does play a huge role in educational experience and educational performance. Social class is defined as an ordering of all parents in a society according to their degrees of economic resources, prestige, and privilege. Nelson focuses on 3 main social classes: the professional middle class, and the working class. Nelson defines the professional middle class as people with educational credentials beyond a bachelor's degree and who hold a professional occupation. She then defines the middle class as families whose connection to the economy provides them with a secure, comfortable income and allows them to live well above the subsistence level. Nelson noted that those who she spoke to were in the middle class that were in the middle class had not gone higher than a bachelor's degree and held semi-professional occupations such as a police officer or high school teacher. The working class is defined as families whose income can reliably provide only for the minimal needs of what other people see as a decent life. Nelson also noted that none of these people who she spoke to that were in the middle class had bachelor's degrees, and they generally held occupations similar to like a sheet metal worker, stay-at-home mom, or teacher's aides. Next, Nelson noted that privileged parents take many precautions to ensure a bright future for their children. They believe that their children have boundless potential and must therefore control every aspect of their children's lives, ensuring that they reach their potential. The professional middle class does have many advantages from simply being knowledgeable. They get their children tested for disabilities, as well as have money to place them in a school that can fit their child's needs, which a working class family may not have the luxury to do. Second, most parents desire that their children have a better education, something better than a public school. So most professional middle class parents admitted that they sent their children to private school to make sure that they will get into a top Ivy League college, along with having peers that are similar to them. Next, Nelson discusses the hard choices among the non-elite. Many sociologists agree that income and wealth are core concepts of the ordering of social class. However, sociologist Max Weber added another standard known as life chances. Life chances is defined as the resource and opportunities that people have to provide themselves with material goods and favorable living conditions. Non-elite families do not have all the advantages of upper-class families, and upper-class families are defined as families that have amassed wealth and privilege and that often have substantial prestige as well. Advantages of these families include testing, private schools, safe neighborhoods, and extracurricular activities. Less privileged families are often more concerned about financial burdens and often must make hard choices when attempting to secure success for their children in the future. Following this, Nelson discussed the changes in a family when the mother re-enters the labor force, which is defined as all people who are either working outside of their home or looking for work. The labor force participation rate of mothers rose from under 40% to 70% in the early 21st century. Many factors contributed to the increase of married women in the labor force. During the 20th century, the service sector of the economy increased tremendously. Workers who work in the service sector are those who provide personal services such as education, healthcare, communication, legal representation, entertainment, and many other jobs in that category. And many of these jobs are actually viewed as women's work. However, once the pay rate increased, this is when many married women began to really enter the labor force. Moreover, Nelson mentioned that the rise of women in the labor force is making parenting much more difficult. Kevin Hansen, a respondent to one of Nelson's studies, remembered how his mother, as well as many other mothers, were always available, and there was much more contact between the mom and the kids. Nowadays, with many mothers working full-time jobs, this is less common. Personally, my mom stayed home until I was about 2 years old and then returned to the labor force working full-time, so I was always in like after-school programs or camp until like 5 or 6 p.m. every day. However, this is what many parents worry about, that they cannot create sufficient family time or be there for critical moments in their children's lives. This may be seen as role overload, which is defined as the state of having too many roles with conflicting demands, such as being a worker, spouse, and parent all in one. With role overload, many people fear a spillover of roles, which is defined as a transfer of mood or behavior between work and home. So a bad day, or maybe even a good day sometimes, can be brought home. In 2006, a general social survey, in the 2006 general social survey, 42% of people felt that the demands of their jobs sometimes or often interfere with their family life. Overall, a spillover generally flows from work to home, due to the workplace being less flexible and having little control over where and when to work. Usually, many families learn to cope with the inflexible demands of their loved ones' employers. Furthermore, with the concerns of many workers